That's a beautiful, nice bungalow. Yes, it is. So yet ki likha ase, it is sentence structure. So with the help of this house, we'll try and understand how sentence structure works. So this is a room. Yet ki ase, we have walls, we have a floor, and we have a roof. So imagine subject, এটা sentence with subject থাকে. Subject is like the floor, verb is like the wall, and the object is like the roof. So এটা floor আৰু roofok কোনে connect কৰে is the walls or the post, isn't it? So here prime is simply in simple, which we can say subject and the object are the two main parts, and they are connected by what? They are connected by the verb. Subject আৰু object হল মূল part আৰু তেওঁলোকক connect কৰে কি হে? তেওঁলোকক connect কৰে verb. Okay. So let's look at the informations available here. আমাৰ স্ক্ৰীনত কিছুমান information আহিছে, সেইটো আমি চাওঁ আছো আমাৰ তাত কি information আছে. So sentences in the English language contains the following. English language যিবোৰ sentence থাকে এই following component কেইটা থাকে. What are those? Subject, verb, object and complement. Subject, verb, object and complement. Right? Now what is a subject? Subject হয়নো কি বাৰু? Well, যদি আমি তলত চাওঁ, we have the definition of the subject. This is that. What's that? What's that? It says the main topic of the sentence. Subject is what? It's the main topic of the sentence. Sentence eta likhila ba kiba kam korila tat ki thakibo? Eta main topic thakibo. So what's the subject? Subject is the main topic of the sentence. Then what is a verb? Verb is, what is a verb? Word that shows action or action words. So sentence eta kiba to ghotona ghoti ase na. So the word that tells us about all that is what? It's the verb. Now what's that? Object, the word that is affected by the subject and the verb. Word that is affected by the subject and the verb. এনেকুৱা এটা word যিটোক subject আৰু verb affect কৰে. And what's the last part? Complement. Any word that adds an extra information to a sentence. এটা sentence যিটোৱে এটা extra information add কৰিব, any word, এইটো যিকোনো ধৰণৰ word হ'ব পাৰে যিটো এটা extra information add কৰিব, এইটো কি বুলি কোৱা হয়? That is called a complement, right? So subject, verb, object and complement. Right? Then we have a complete sentence must have a subject, a verb and a verb to be meaningful. So প্ৰথম rule কি হল sentence a complete sentence must have a subject and a verb to be meaningful. So subject or verb nohua কোনো sentence meaningful নহয়. Say example is what? Anand runs fast. So you need to have that subject and the verb. In some sentences, subject may be hidden or implied. কেতিয়াবা subject to hidden হৈ থাকে, but সেইটো meaning to বুজি পোৱা যায়. Say for example, sit down. কোনোবা যদি তোমাক কয় sit down, that means what? You sit down. That you word is hidden, but it can be understood, right? এতিয়া আমাৰ important টপিকলৈকে আহি যাওঁ. আমাৰ টপিক কি আছিল আজিৰ কাৰণে? Our topic was active or passive voice, right? So the importance given to either the subject or the verb determines the voice of the sentence. Okay? কি হয়? ভালকে যদি চাব যাওঁ, the importance given to either the subject or the verb determines the voice of the sentence. Subject আৰু verbক দিয়া importanceৰ ওপৰত depend কৰি আমি voice টো কি হয় এইটো determine কৰিব পাৰো. But এটা বস্তু মনত ৰাখিবলগীয়া, important য'তেই নিদিও কিয়, the meaning of the sentence remains the same in both active and passive voice. Whether voice is an active voice or passive, it doesn't matter. The meaning of the sentence will remain same. Only difference is what? The way it is written. Voice. Now what is a voice? Voice is a grammatical device with a reference to verbs. It tells us about relationship of the subject with the verb. It has two types, active and passive. So what is a voice? A voice is a grammatical device with reference to verbs. It tells us about the relationship of the subject with the verb. It has two types, active and passive. Now, Ravi likes the school. This is an active voice. The school is liked by Ravi. This is an passive voice. So Ravi likes the school. Etu ki hobo? Active voice. The school is liked by Ravi. That would be what? Passive voice. Sentences can be either in active voice or passive voice depending on the functions performed by the subject and verb. Sentences can either be in active voice or passive voice depending on the functions performed by the subject or verb. Sentences বোৰ active voice to থাকিব পাৰে, passive voice to থাকিব পাৰে, depending on what? Depending on the functions performed by the subject and the verb. Subject আৰু verb কি function perform কৰিব তাৰ ওপৰত depend কৰি sentence to active নে passive সেইটো হ'ব পাৰে. Now moving ahead. So we can see two boys here. One of them is eating a banana and the other one is standing. So active and passive voice. Now let's see what is active and passive voice. But আকৌ মন কৰিবলগীয়া কথাটো হ'ল, there is something for you in this below part. The meaning of the sentence remain the same in both active and passive voice. আমি active বা passive voice কথা যিমানেই নকওঁ কিয় এটা বস্তু মনত ৰখাটো উচিত যে meaning of the sentence remains the same. বাক্যৰ অৰ্থটো সলনি নহয়, meaningটো একেই থাকে whether it is an active voice or passive voice, right? So what is active voice? এতিয়া active voice বুলি ক'লে আমি কি বুজাম বাৰু? All sentences contain a subject and a verb. When the subject performs the action denoted by the verb, such sentences are said to be in active voice. This is because the subject does or acts upon the verb. Now, all sentences contain a subject and a verb. So sentences that are subject or verb thake. When the subject performs the action denoted by the verb, যেতিয়া subject verb বুজোৱা action to perform কৰে, then সেই sentence বোৰক আমি কি বুলি কওঁ? We call them active voice. যিজন subject আছে তেওঁ যদি action to perform কৰি আছে, তেনেহলে that is what? That is an active voice. Okay? Example is what? Nanu eats bananas. So Nanu eats bananas. Nanu is the subject. Eats is the verb, right? And bananas is the object. So here who's eating? Nanu is eating, right? So who's performed the action? It's the subject that is performing the action. So this is an active voice. Now look at this one. What is a passive voice? Now active voice জানাৰ পিছত আমি passive voice কথা জানিব লাগিল. So what is passive voice now? All sentences contain a subject and a verb. However, in some cases, subject is not very important and the action becomes important. কেতিয়াবা কি হয় সব sentences subject আৰু verb থাকে, কিন্তু কেতিয়াবা কি হয় subjectতকে actionটোৰ importanceটো বাঢ়ি যায়. কেতিয়াবা কি হয় subjectতকে actionটোৰ importanceটো বাঢ়ি যায়. Say for example, bananas are eaten by Nanu. So in this case, what happened? Object and verb and subject, right? So what is that? Past participle preposition segment. So past participle use hoise. So etia ami yat ki jabo lagibo? We have to look at the forms of verb. So ki hoy jetia ami active ba passive loke loi jam, we use be verb and then past participle form of the verb. Verb to past participle form ase hetu ami use koru. Say for example, now eat, ate, right? Past form to hold ate, past participle to hold eaten, our present participle to hold eating, right? So similarly, sing, sang, sung and singing, then write, wrote, written and writing, speak, spoke, spoken and speaking, cut, cut, cut and cutting, put, putting, talk, talked, talk, talking, teach, taught, teaching, bring, brought, bringing, buy, bought, and buying. All right. Now, এইবিলাক আমি কিয় চালো? Because we'll be using them in our next segment. What's that? Let's see. Changing active voice to passive voice. এতিয়া আমি যিবোৰ বস্তু অলপ আগতে লিষ্ট কৰি দেখিলো they will be used in this part changing active voice to passive voice কেতিয়াবা যেতিয়া আমি active voice passive voice লৈ চেঞ্জ কৰিম কি হ'ব active voice says subject is the doer Nanu plays the guitar okay so active voice কি হয় subject is the doer Nanu plays the guitar right now passive voice is what subject is not the doer action verb is more important now guitar is played by Nanu guitar is played something is played that is more important someone is playing something instead of that something is played that is more important so passive voice use helping verbs to make a sentence meaningful example of helping verbs is be have would before I'm helping verbs বুলি কৈছিল হেতুক আমি be verb বুলিও ক'ব পাৰো right so passive voice uses all that tenses play a very important role in converting active voice to passive voice এইখিনিয়ে নহয় active voice পৰা passive voice লৈ যাব লগা থাকিলে tenseৰ rule টো এটা থাকে and that is an important one what's that change in structure active to passive এতিয়া active পৰা passive লৈকে যেতিয়া change হ'ব structure টো কেনেকুৱা changes আহিব পাৰে let's see so these are our indicators as for subject for main verb we'll use V for object we'll use O for complement we'll use C and for helping verbs we'll be using HV so Nanu eats a banana in this sentence Nanu is what HV Nanu is the subject banana is the object right then helping verb is eaten right so banana is eaten by Nanu so what we did we have to use a complement as well ইয়াত কি হল Nanu eats a banana এইটো হল আমাৰ active voice so যেতিয়া আমি passively convert কৰিম কি হ'ব the object will become the subject right so Nanu eats a banana what's the object a banana is the object so a banana will become subject we'll use helping verb what's that helping verb very good helping verb is then we will use the past participle of the main verb to ki hoy it so it past participle form will eaten then we'll use a complement what's that it's a preposition in the form of by and the subject will become the object so yet object ki hoy subject ki hoy Nanu so Nanu will become the object so the sentence would be what a banana is eaten by Nanu so we can say Superman flying now he came so what is past participle now past participle form of the verb becomes the main verb in passive voice past participle form of the verb becomes the main verb in passive voice যেতিয়া আমি passive voice use কৰিম কি হ'ব past participle form টো main verb হিচাপে use হ'ব I know so what is past participle form or V3 form in that previous list we saw that V3 form of verb indicates an action or task that is completed so past participle এনেকুৱা এটা mean কৰে যে task টো complete হৈ গৈছে it can also be called the ed form of the verb since it is formed by adding letters ed or d to the main verb for example I have learned classical music ইয়াক ed form বুলিও কোৱা যায় কাৰণ most cases ইয়াত ed d বা t add কৰা যায় it is used to change sentences to passive form for example bananas are eaten by Nanu bananas are eaten by Nanu right now moving on now what are the use of active and passive voice active voice in a sentence used in everyday language used when the doer or subject is important where do we use active voice we use active voice everywhere সদায় দৈনন্দিন জীৱনত দৈনন্দিন statementত everyday sentenceত what we do we use active voice right আৰু ক'ত use কৰো when the doer or subject is important then we use active voice now what about passive voice passive voice in a sentence used mostly in written context the quote use কৰা নাযায় কিন্তু লিখতে আমি বেসিক্যালি passive voice use কৰো কাৰণ কিয় কেতিয়াবা ভাবা যায় যে passive voice বাক্যটোক বেছি বনি কৰিব পাৰে used when the action or what is being done is more important যেটো action বা যেটো বস্তু কৰা হৈছে হেতু বেছি important হয় used to explain, emphasize on the action when the subject is not known. যেতিয়া আমি সাবজেক্টটো জ্ঞাত নাথাকিব তেতিয়া আমি অ্যাকশনটোত এমফাসাইজ কৰিব লগা হয় আৰু সেইটো কৰাৰ কাৰণে আমি কি কৰো we use passive voice, right? Structure of an active voice sentence. So active voice sentence structure কেনেকুৱা হয়? The boy is nice shot, isn't that? So I play cricket. The sentence is I play cricket. So I is the subject or doer, play is the verb or action, and cricket is the object. So here I am playing cricket. Again, I is the subject, am is the helping verb, playing is the main verb, and cricket is an object, right? So ইয়াত কি হয় subject, verb and object. That is the structure of an active voice. কেতিয়াবা verb লগত আমি কিছুমান auxiliary use কৰিব লগা হয় if it is in continuous tense, like just like we saw the example I am playing cricket. Whereas structure of a passive voice sentence, how is it like? Cricket is played by me. Cricket is played by me. Object, helping verb, preposition and subject, right? So cricket is being played by me. Again, object, helping verb, preposition and subject. So আমি কি দেখিলো যেতিয়া আমি active verb passive লৈকে convert কৰিম বা passive voice use কৰিম ইয়াত object to subject হৈ যায়, then that is followed by a helping verb or be form of the verb, then principal verb to use হয় in its past participle form. তাৰ পিছত we use the subject, the original subject as an object. So I'm playing cricket. Cricket is being played by me. All right. Moving on to the next part. So active and passive voice. Let's see some example of sentences in active voice. এতিয়া আমি কেইটামান example চাওঁ আহাচোন. Gopal is eating mangoes. Gopal is the subject, right? Then is helping verb, eating is the main verb, and mangoes is the object. So যেতিয়া আমি active verb passive লৈ convert কৰিব লাগে, mangoes to কি হৈ গ'ল object ৰ পৰা subject হৈ গ'ল, are যেহেতু mangoes to plural হয়, so we use the be verb in its plural form. So we said are eating. Now what is happening? আমাৰ be verb form এটা লাগে, be verb to already আছে, isn't it? আৰু sentence to কি আছে ing use হৈছে. So it ing use হলে তো আমি past participle form use কৰিব নোৱাৰো. So that's why we are using this word being, then eaten by Gopal, right? So ইয়াত আমি কি কৰিলো continuous tense থাকে যদি আমি be লগত ing এটা use কৰি being compensate কৰি হেতু, so that we can use the principal verb in its past participle form, right? Babu painted the entire house. Etu jodi swa, Babu is the subject, painted is the verb, and entire house is the object. Etia etu jodi change koribo loga hoy, the entire house was painted by Babu. It's very simple now. The entire house, object becomes subject. We use the be verb, as per the tense. So was, painted isn't it? Then by Babu. The presidents are signing a treaty. Etu ki hobo? A treaty is being signed by the presidents. The government built a new bridge. So etu ki hobo? A new bridge was built by the government. I recommend this job. This job is recommended by me. So now the interviewer selected Prithvi. What would be that? This is active or passive? Very good. This is active voice. The movie was viewed by a big group. It would be what? Very good. This is passive voice. The government has approached this project. Etu ki hobo? Good again. This is active voice. He delivered the newspapers. What would be that? Again active. Zeri was called by the organizers. This is what? Very good. Passive voice. Deepa will finish the remaining work. It will be what? Active voice, right? So we'll discuss all that in a different date, right? For now, we'll wind up here for today. বাকিখিনি বস্তু we'll discuss in our next session. All right then. Hope you all have understood. We'll see you with the remaining portion next session. Thank you.